GPT-5.
GPT-5.
GPT-5. GPT-5.
We've got the GPT-5 Flopped. Very, very interesting stuff to go through.
Like, this is really getting to the point where you have like massive expectations, you have like excitement and hype, then you have the letdown, and you have it all within like a 4-day period of time. Like it's crazy how quick all this stuff is happening.
We're expecting quantum leap jumps. If it had been GPT-4 Nano Plus, okay, like I don't think it would have been as what's it, but they really pushed the GPT-5 thing out there. So
is it better than the previous models? Probably. Does it really matter to anybody?
How's it going, bro?
Fantastic. Great mustache. Shall we repeat the last 30 seconds?
I do, yeah. We were just talking about mustaches for 30 seconds before we jumped in. We probably missed the most important conversation. We've got the GPT-5 Flop. Very, very interesting stuff to go through. But right now, it is beautiful August. It is hot. There is many things happening in the world of AI. Nick, how have you been this past week, bros? How's life been?
Great. I took a little trip down to my girlfriend's brother's Lakeside cabin in Windsor, Ontario. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the area. Absolutely gorgeous. And for the first time in my life, I got to do like lake activities. So there was a bunch of embarrassing footage of me tubing, getting my ass handed to me.
What's tubing? What's tubing?
You never been tubing? Well, this is basically exactly the position I was in just a few days ago. Basically, it's a giant inflatable tube, and then there's a rope that connects it to a boat. The boat goes really fast, and then it whips you all over the place. And the game is the person driving the boat is trying to throw you off of the tube, and you, as the person in the tube, are trying to stay in the tube for as long as possible. So it's like this lovely back and forth. Boats can go, you can go pretty fast, man. You can go up like 40, 50K.
Oh, so you're gonna smash into the water, basically 40 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour.
And I did. And to God, I did multiple times.
Dude, that's crazy.
Her brother and I, yeah, we that was like the headbutting right there. He's like, I'll shoot.
Dude, if my bro, like literal, my like figurative bro did that, it'd be like, next I'm behind the wheel, dude. I'm doing the sharpest turn possible. I'd be like, 90-degree turn. I'd be flipping over. Everyone be flipping over.
We're going parasailing next time.
Dude, we'll do what was in Sheffield, where I used to live, we have wakeboarding. For everyone like listening, it's really interesting. You basically like stand on a board and you grab a thing and it whips you around on a circuit, right? But like the first 5 to 8 times you do it, you get like face planted straight into it. So like a lot of people just bail. And then some people go around on their knees. And like from a testosterone level, Nick, there's a noticeable like plummet in like the after party. But like all the guys that went around on their knees, like bopping around like this, like we were like, you know, we're still friends, but there was a clear like
things are different now.
Yeah. Did you want to hear a wild story before we get into GPT-5?
Sure.
I was burgled this morning. At least I believe I was burgled this morning. So I got a call from my company. Like I'm getting pings, like, so I've got like these camera systems and stuff like this. This van appeared outside my house and 2 people just walked straight into my property. And then I had this company that I pay, and their job is the whole sell of it. And this is really relevant for AI as well, actually, is it's 24/7 surveillance. So the second somebody walks through, they've got cameras, they can see you coming in, or like, who's this person? And when I bought this package, Nick, they said to me, you know, you want to go for the deluxe package, we've got literal smoke bombs. Like it will release. And it'll be like something like a Batman's weaponry, basically, where like you couldn't even see your hand if you did this. And I was like, dude, you had me at smoke bombs. Sign me up, right? Like, so I'm thinking we got some like military grade Batman, like Arkham Asylum type of shit, right? And I was like, okay. And then anyway, I got a missed call, and I was like, I'm always on Do Not Disturb, right? So I called them back up and like, hey, we saw it's turned the property. We didn't think it was a big deal. We didn't do anything about it. I'm like, I have no idea who these people are. What do you mean you did nothing about it, right? I was like, oh, right. Oh, well, we didn't know that. Well, we were going to call the police, but, you know, they didn't pick up, and so we didn't really do anything about it. And I was like, dude, what am I paying this company for? This is crazy. I said, what about the smoke bombs? I thought we had, like, lethal motor bombs that we could deploy. And they were like, oh, I don't know about that. Anyway, it turns out, and then I've got, like, also, like, CCTV. So I'm listening to these guys, like, when I get to my apartment. But I was supposed to record a video, and it got delayed. And then, it turns out they're just from the estate agent. They're just to do a quote for a carpet, and they gave him the key. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude.
You wanted to smoke bomb the technicians?
Dude, we're going to smoke bomb them, dude. Yeah, dude, they were just there to do the carpet, and we almost smoke bombed. Dude, that would have been hilarious, dude. Yeah, they were like really confused, and so like figured it out. We're like, okay. And I was like, dude, you have to let me know next time. This is crazy. But also, it's like, you know, that's a service with like 24/7 human thing. But I think if I had Jarvis, if I had Jack GPT watching over the property, I think he would have caught that, man. So
100%. No, definitely would have smoke bombed him. Why stop at smoke bomb? Dude, that's got to be the most American thing you've
Dude, I want a button that says release the hounds. I just press it and then like bam. I want to be live fed straight into the property. Like I want room by room control of like the tactics and stuff. I'm gonna release some balls and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm glad everything's okay. Hopefully your carpets are fine too.
I went from being burgled to not being burgled in 60 minutes. So it was like really funny. Yeah, it was quite hilarious actually. So we just shot over there. Just but dude, what a wild morning. It's also been this might be a smooth or unsmooth segue, but a wild week for GPT-5, man. So have you played with it, bro? There's been a bit of an uproar, a bit of a mixed opinion on it. We had the big hype cycle. I definitely GPT-5 changing the game. You wouldn't believe it. Loads of shock faces. Have you played with it, bro? What's your experience been with GPT-5 so far? Maybe we start first on.
Basically the same experience I've had with literally every other model drop over the course of the last year, where it comes out, it's about 2% better at a bunch of stuff that I don't really care about. Some super extraordinarily advanced reasoning on some math survey that I don't even know how to pronounce, right?
Benchmark 725. Oh, okay,
yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, like, is it better than the previous models? Probably. Does it really matter to anybody now? No. And I think what was really interesting about this hype cycle is it was just so heavily compressed. Like, this is really getting to the point where you have like massive expectations, you have like excitement and hype, then you have the letdown, and you have it all within like a 4-day period of time. Like it's crazy how quick all this stuff is happening. A couple years ago, that same hype cycle took like 2-3 months because of market sophistication. But now we are very, very sophisticated. We're very, very used to these products. And because all these companies are sort of in lockstep with each other, they need to make larger and more ridiculous promises every single time in order to like maintain our attention, which just contributes to it all. So yeah, to make a long story short, okay. It was okay.
Yeah, I just feel my mic is like 2 working days over there. Yeah, it's like, it's true. We've kind of become desensitized, haven't we, to like these big, bashful looks. I actually said conceptually for OpenAI, what I think they missed was the fact that GPT-5 symbolically was to represent the next era. And you're always going to chart that from your GPT-3 to 4 thing. We're expecting quantum leap jumps. If it had been GPT-4 Nano Plus, okay, like I don't think it would have been as what's it, but they really pushed the GPT-5 thing out there. So I looked at it, dude. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 noteworthy things, but outside of that, it didn't really blow off there. So the other thing is, I think the thing companies need to bear in mind with this stuff is it isn't even a question of can we get hype cycle with it, but what does it do for us reputationally? Like now you want to launch GPT-6, you have less inherent market credibility behind that now. And it's also, OpenAI is in a tough spot because Grok released a new model recently. Gemini are making moves. Anthropic are making moves. So there's this kind of one-upsmanship that's driving lots of pushes and flashy things. They want to kind of occupy the headline as quickly as possible. But to your point, it's getting shorter and shorter, like the amount of time. It's like kind of like King of the Hill, where one guy grabs it and then it just hot potatoes over to the second company.
That's a Halo analogy if I've ever heard one. Absolutely.
I should have done the voice. It's my favorite game type, actually, dude. I freaking love that game. It's like on what's that? What is it? The Pit? The Pit? Do you remember the Pit?
Yes, I remember
with the snipers. S1. Yeah, absolutely. I always went for the sniper on S1. Dude, I literally as soon as I was like immediately to the right, straight down there, grab that sniper. I know,
I agree with you entirely. That is exactly how the current AI race is. Maybe not even the AI race, but like the AI product development race. It's unfortunate. I think that when GPT-5 was rumored a couple years ago, it was like, oh, that's going to be AGI, right? Like, we're going to be an artificial general intelligence when GPT-5 drops. And like, there was just some expectation. It was like the litmus test across the board that when we hit GPT-5, we'll be at AGI.
That will be the one.
Like closeted, veiled remarks by Sam and a bunch of other people on the team. And then GPT-5 comes out, and I don't know. Are you feeling the AGI?
Dude, I'm not. And I'm actually now just pulling up some of the benchmarks and stuff that they hit. The voice is better, for sure. What was interesting as well, it's an interesting tangent now, is that people are using these models for companionship. We talked about dating last episode. We talked about like the social aspect of these models. What's really interesting is like when you change the weights of the models, the personality and the way it presents is slightly different. And sometimes those are nuanced different changes and sometimes they're more significant, where you get whole kind of personality shifts. I even noticed this if you're using ChatGPT voice, You've got the ability to record a message or type and have it like come back to you and play it, or you can free flow and chat with it, right? If you're chatting to it free flow, it's kind of like what's the best way to describe it? It's like the token austerity, right? Like, you get a little bit of an answer back, nothing too crazy, maybe a paragraph, but then if you're talking to it, you actually get fully developed, cogent paragraphs that make sense and it actually addresses the issue. These people that are having deep relationships with these models, which I think we have to call them deep relationships now. I think I heard someone was like, I don't know if they're marrying a GPT-4 or something, I don't know, but people are using it more and more. They start to get attuned to the personality. So these shifts, like ChatGPT deprecated the entire GPT-4 range. And you can do that if it's clearly and markedly better. But because it was kind of actually not in all senses better, people were really kind of peed off about that. So I thought that was really interesting. The social attachments people are getting now when talking to these models and their personalities are changing.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. You know what's really interesting? When GPT-3 came out, it was a 185 billion parameter model. And that was a groundbreaking, massive step up from GPT-2 at the time, back in 2019. I think it was like, I don't even remember, but I think it was from 2 bill to 185 bill. So what's that, 90 times? That was really computationally expensive for OpenAI to run. So what they did is they launched GPT 3.5 Turbo, which was a distilled model that ran much faster inference and as a result required way less work for OpenAI servers to do. And then they said, hey, screw GPT-3, we're launching GPT 3.5. It's way smarter, it's way better, and it's way more intelligent. You can give it instructions and whatever. They sold it to everybody as a massive improvement in model quality. And I think eventually it did end up being a massive improvement in model quality. But initially, you know what it was? It was just a way for them to save money. It was a way for them to save a massive amount of money. Same thing happened with GPT-4, GPT 4.5 Turbo, whatever, right? When these big companies launch these hyper-optimized, supposedly better models, you got to understand that they're also doing it for themselves. Guarantee you GPT-5 runs on much better, tighter infrastructure. The way that it's built is just like a lot more economical for OpenAI. And so it's in their best interest, to basically get the same outcome or a similar outcome, maybe slightly better outcome, let's say, store like crazy in all these benchmarks and metrics, and then deprecate the hell out of all the old models so they don't have to maintain that upkeep. Incentives are definitely aligned for them on that end. So
yeah, it's true because I can't imagine the sheer volume of compute that ChatGPT does. There's external pressures to be better and be the model of choice. It is frictionless to switch your models up. Even if you're using it personally, I can just flip over to Claude. There's definitely a subscription fatigue with the models. I don't know how many you're subscribed to, dude. I'm on Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT. I don't know if everybody is on all of the models or if like the purchasing behavior. To me, the two buckets I see, either you buy every model or you buy no models. Like I found out my girlfriend didn't have ChatGPT Plus, and it would be a big conversation about that. I couldn't believe
Listen,
it.
I
was like, I can't. One of these second-rate insights I'm getting over here. So, yeah, we had a conversation about that. But yeah, I don't know if people are like, do you think purchase behavior? I'd be very curious to know if people, generally speaking, do just say, I've got like, because $60 is $60, I guess. Like, are people just not buying all three? I'd be very curious to know that, actually.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, I don't buy all three. I only got the subscription to ChatGPT. I got a couple credits thrown into the Cloud and Gemini APIs, but that's about it. The way that I see it, just because there are such marginal differences at the bleeding edge, I remember we talked about this on a pod a couple of weeks ago, just because there's such marginal differences, like, it doesn't really make sense for me to like learn a whole new UX, whole new layout. I might be a special case because I've been using like OpenAI models now for 6 years, I guess. It's been quite a while. So I've just gotten really used to it. And then any marginal improvements that I would get from switching over to Cloud would probably be canceled out by me having to learn a totally new.
The friction of it. Yeah. I think I find myself using Claude as a default, mainly because it's got the projects in there, which is cool. So it can check little things for me. But if I have like, okay, here's a great example of this, right? But I'm going to Dubai and I've got to transport my dog there. So there's a whole myriad and landmine of specifics and technicalities and all this crazy stuff. So I'll often have multiple do deep research on it and compare it. And I think the time where I will ditch, to be fair, I have it ask a question. If it's a research question, what I'm finding is no real comparable difference actually in the output. Because I look at the deep research from 2 or 3 models and not one of them catches something the others didn't. The only time that one seems to be better than the other is like for more creative work where it's more variety. So maybe a good example would be YouTube titles. Like that you get kind of different looks from different models. They kind of attack it with the same prompt. But outside of that, yeah, they're all kind of converging onto one spot, really.
Yeah, I'd agree. So you're using it for YouTube titles now, eh? I remember about a year ago when I tried, I was like, I can't really make this work. But in recent months, I have noticed that, they're getting to the point where packaging-wise, it's probably about as good as I am. Like when I sit down and I spend my own time on it, I'll generate a bunch and then I'll make some minor changes to it and stuff. Like for the most part, comes out okay.
Yeah, it's all based on what do they call it? Pre-validated, like what like you can easily find yourself wrestling with ChatGPT to get you an answer that had you just actually said, look, I've got 20 minutes, I'll just think of it, that you probably would have gotten a better answer sometimes. So
yeah. That's true. That's pretty interesting, though. I mean, logically speaking, it's probably the highest leverage thing that you could do, right? Because the packaging is the most important.
It is the most. It is, but isn't it funny that we're just instinctively just outsource that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Odd. I wonder why us as entrepreneurs just always do that, huh? We just want to outsource all the really important shit. Anyway.
Yeah.
The GPT-5 drop was definitely the biggest chunk of news this week, and I think it's unfortunate that everybody was expecting this AGI, and supposedly, at least I'm not feeling it. It's crazy though. Like the thing is, if we're just being rational with each other, like let's say you dial back the clock 10 years. If you showed GPT-5 to anybody from 10 years ago, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's artificial general intelligence," right? Like if we're just being pragmatic, like everybody would be say, "Oh, that's like godlike intelligence in your pocket," and I'm from my privileged vantage point, I'm like, nah, I don't like its voice.
Nah, we got to keep moving it. Dude, this is the same thing with the cut. When you're on the cut, it's like you want to get lean, and when you reach the desired weight or percentage, you always want to go deeper. It's like that joke about you're never bigger than the first day you went to the gym. Like genuinely, it's like we'll always just keep on etching it forward. Do you think, bro? Actually, this connects down with ChatGPT. So I've been looking a lot into unicorns recently. Unicorns being companies with a billion valuation for everybody, like which I'm sure you know. But 80% of them are B2B.
Yeah, I could see that.
Which I thought was an interesting tidbit, actually. And I was like, okay, that's quite interesting. Because I've been looking a lot at N8N's valuation, and they have exploded. And I was like, that's really interesting. And they were founded only in 2019. Google also recently entered the no-code platform race, which I think is very, very interesting, this whole idea of it. Because I remember when I started my last startup, we were looking at Zapier. I know that's, I know I can get like, five whiplashes for that, for mentioning the word Zapier. But what was funny is the guy said, hey, we want to build an alternate Zapier. And I remember thinking, like, how are you going to do something different than Zapier? At the time, I remember thinking, that's strange. Like, why would you bother doing that? But now fast forward a few years and it's like really interesting, and N8N's blowing up. Google steps into the race. We've got like so many companies now looking at this no code space. And when Google launches a project, usually they've got a lot of like good projection, because it's got to be worth their time, right? They're not going to do anything less that's at least a build the opportunity there.
Yeah, for sure. And they're like monolithic. It takes them a while to get moving, but once they move, they just have so much inertia behind them. Also, market capitalization wise, think of the total addressable market and the percentage of that market that is owned by Google. You could send a single Gmail to every Gmail subscriber on planet Earth saying, hey, we just rolled out this new no-code builder. You instantly destroy basically every other no-code builder out there.
Do you think they could slay? Maybe they're the purchaser for N8N. Maybe that's who's going to buy it realistically?
Like Google has the potential to be the most integrated on planet Earth, like very quickly. They could roll out, what's it called? Opal? I believe it's called Opal, right?
Opus. Yeah. We're in the UK, so we have a bit of a technology drought over here. We've got to wait at least a few weeks before we get our hands on that kind of thing.
I haven't used it myself. Maybe I will right after our pod, but I'm just thinking about it. Like they have the potential to be the most integrated, just with their OAuth and the fact that they are like the most integrated platform, right? Like every time you sign into anything with OAuth, you're doing it through Google, right? Sign in with Google, sign in with Google, sign in with Google. Literally every one of these platforms can immediately just get like a one-click Opal integration. And that would immediately like eat up the lion's share of the reason why people use things like Zapier and Make, because just out of the box, they are, one click to PandaDoc, one click to instantly. You know what I mean? Like whereas N8N.
Yeah. No, you're actually right. Like, I think this is what's the 1 to 10 for no-code builders. It isn't probably the assembly. It's more the app. Because I think the clunkiest part of learning no-code automations for a beginner is something as silly as the Google integration in N8N. That you've got, like if you've never ever done no-code before, that's like, okay, I've got to bring this over here. Like, And Google's got that natively. When I was playing with Firecrawl, like their lovable alternative, it's not great. But one of the cool things is it did have access to all the Google APIs. If you did like a YouTube automation that was going to it could just easily, okay, yeah, I've got the API, bro, don't worry about it. So that was interesting. The trend does seem to be, bro, for AI applications. That to me seems like the meta. Like I was looking at a company who, mobile apps, just generate mobile apps. And like, I have been like relentlessly pursued by lovable ads recently. I don't know what I clicked on or what happened, but literally, bro, it's like I every time I log in, I'm like, they are really, really pushing. Like, dude, I just built this crazy like, and from so many different angles. It's like that AI app space, like Bolt, like they're doing. I mean, you were on the Bolt yacht, right?
Yeah.
So like Bolt. I mean, better than I do with Bolt, but Bolt were pushing it, Lovell's pushing it. So many different entrants into the market. It's like AI application building is like. It just seems like this whole new, exciting, growing area of people.
Yeah, and just wait like 3 months, and then it'll just be completely and utterly trashed. Like most other things. I will say there is something of a hype cycle with the Vibe marketing tools. Vibe building tools, because like when you actually apply them in projects. Like a question I got in Maker School the other day was, "Hey Nick, so I used Lovable to build out this website for a client, and now they want me to hand it off to them. So how do I do it?" And so you can, like project transfers and stuff, and they're starting to build that functionality in. But it's like, once you've done it, what the hell's the client going to do with that thing? Like, it's like some bad thing that connects the front end or the back end or whatever. It's like, at least the way that it's being pushed for B2B applications, like for building and stuff like that. Like you have AI, this monolithic galaxy brain that is producing this like very uninterpretable snippet of code and then giving it to somebody. Like, not exactly the most maintainable thing. So I feel like there's a gap right now. I'm sure you've heard of all of the apps over the course of the last like 3 months that were like totally vibe coded and then like blew the hell up, and then like they instantly got hacked, like instantly
imploded,
got hacked because they just don't have any security practice. So yeah, like you can build up like a shiny, nice looking front end, but there is still that gap. I'm excited to see where all this goes. I do really believe strongly in one cool thing about GPT-5 is its ability to spin up like ephemeral interfaces, which Anthropic started doing forever ago with artifacts. I think that's definitely going to be the future, like on the fly interfaces that like conform and adapt to what your preferences are and stuff. So their example is like the beat generator. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that.
The generator.
Yeah, like you build like basically a little old school Moog synthesizer thing where like you can click buttons and it'll go like drums, like kick drums and then like snares and stuff. And then you can like move little sliders around, like you can add new kick drums and stuff. The fact that you can do that with one line is pretty cool. But I feel like that's the real killer. And the second that you have that, like vast majority of all other SaaS apps are just, they're just disappearing.
They go. And it's actually, I love what you said on the websites thing. Because obviously I do, I've been looking at Lovable, and people ask sometimes in the community around this whole, how do I get the Lovable website? I'm like, dude, actually 90% of the time, I recommend you use card.co or some really simple ass website builder, because it's quite frankly not worth the hassle. Building websites in these no-code platforms most of the time, unless there's a specific reason for it. Like, you're actually way better off if you're doing an MVP for your business, just build it in card. Like, if you need it, build it in card. You don't need to build these crazy applications. The editability is more important. I mean, I know Lovable, these websites are great. They're making, they're more like AI app builders with website functionality added on top of it. So I think they've got a really unique place. I think it's more, I think where it shines brightest is applications, client-facing interfaces, more so than websites. At the moment, you can use it for websites, but dude, if you want to change something on it, the back and forth time period, I think it's sometimes quicker for some people just use websites.
Yeah,
I think,
100%.
yeah.
Also, you got to understand, like, not to cut you off, sorry, Jack, but look, what's the point of this? Like, what is your website actually doing for you nowadays in 2025? All a website is a little business card. You probably get just as much utility, if not more, out of having a LinkedIn profile, man, or like a school page or whatever the hell. Like actually having a website is it's a contact mechanism. It's literally like, okay, cool, yeah, this is fine. Can I click this button to like book a call with you, at least for services? Now, if you're running some low touch SaaS or whatever, where your website has to do the heavy lifting to like not have to hire a sales team, fine, that's whatever. But yeah, like for 80% of the cases that I always get website questions about, which are, hey, how do I make an AI agency website? It's like, dude, it's like Your website is not going to be the thing that sells people on your
It's
day.
not. It's not.
And if it is, like, you really screwed up.
No, that's a classic first time starter. We need to sit down and we're not leaving this weekend until we've got a name type of thing. It's like, but it's funny. It's LinkedIn's a funny one, dude, because I want to start looking at LinkedIn in more detail. Like I did like a quick action. Like I asked one of my buddies who's like really deep on LinkedIn, like some thoughts. But what was interesting to me is like, I was really interested in like from the consumer's perspective, like those who really, because I'm not a consumer of LinkedIn. I'll create on LinkedIn, but I'm not a consumer of the platform. I consume primarily on YouTube and then a little bit on like Instagram. So I was like, what do you actually want to see on LinkedIn? Because my take as a consumer is, I think a lot of it is thought leadership. I proposed to my wife, here are 9 things that taught me about B2B sales type of thing. And it's like, I don't like or enjoy that kind of content. And then I reckon my kind of like pulse by looking at it briefly was there's lots of automation porn in terms of like, look at this crazy, like that's just, you wouldn't believe what this does type of thing. I'm like, okay, I think that's probably reached the saturation point just by like glancing at it and stuff. So I was like, well, what is the, like people who use LinkedIn? My takeaway was this for the platform. Very cool platform. Everybody's really interested in networking up. Nobody ever wants to network down. So everybody's trying to climb that next rung on the LinkedIn ladder, and everything it feels like you publish there is in service of just climbing one further rung, connecting with that next big unlock.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like social hierarchy stuff where every move is just so transparently trying to improve your station on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
When the reply guy comes in, it's never to somebody that's a little lower. It's always somebody that's a little bit higher. In that way,
Exactly.
It's like, I don't know if you ever had a chance to play that game. It was called Fishy way back in the day. And like you were a little fish in a pond. And like you could only eat fishes that were smaller than you to like grow to get bigger.
Oh yeah, like Bubble.io. Like I love that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's like a recreation of it. That's exactly how I think of LinkedIn. You're just feasting on these people, and then you get bigger and bigger and bigger. And your only goal is to climb, and eventually, you're like the biggest fish in the pond.
I think you're a real influence on LinkedIn. Yeah, that is freaking hilarious, dude. Yeah, because LinkedIn strikes me like I think it's funny to me that all the platforms have different personalities, dude. Like that's always really interesting to me. Like they all have their own unique quirks. And so, yeah, dude, for LinkedIn, I was just really curious about what do people actually enjoy consuming on LinkedIn? Because if it's all about getting the next unlock, it's like you see a lot of like, there's humble bragging on LinkedIn. There's so many different like post types. I just thought it was really fascinating. So I will look into it like deeply at some point. But I think I just don't consume on the platform. I think I wonder actually to authentically crush it on a platform, you must consume the platform to really get the nuances of it, like really locked down.
That's a hell of a point. Because I didn't used to watch a lot of YouTube videos. And then I started making YouTube videos. And I thought I did pretty well on YouTube with 0 YouTube experience.
Yeah, you crushed it, bro.
As I continued, I started consuming more YouTube. But there is also something to be said about just like taking first principles approaches to everything and then not like actually looking to see what the established solution is. Obviously, that's the fastest and quickest way to get up to speed. But I feel like the Uber style playthrough of the game of business, where like you have the chance to go real unicorn, is just when you do not look at what anybody else is doing and you just carve out a completely unique path. And that probably works 1% of the time, but when it works really big.
I think that's probably the play actually, is to kind of break the mold and be like, this is what the approach I want to take. Because to be fair, if you do look at everybody else, you just become a kind of slightly shallower version of what everyone else is doing.
With bigger biceps.
Bigger biceps.
With bigger biceps.
With bigger biceps. Yeah, but you don't want to, yeah, I know what you mean. You want to be, yeah, I think that's a really a fresh way to look at it. And you can just do it on any platform you want to. Same with like X, Threads, which people are really like hot over at the moment. I don't use Threads. Dude, Instagram's really cheeky about how they get you with Threads. It's like they cut it off for like, I found 17 apples, the 18th, and it's like, damn, what is that 18th apple? And you click on it, it's like,
well done, assholes.
Dude, they're so sneaky with that, dude, honestly.
Yeah. The design, the dark patterns in some of these social media apps are nuts, man. Like absolutely nuts. Like where they'll paywall you, but only after you scroll to like a statistically optimal point where like you really need to see the next thing, and then you're like, well, shit, I've already spent 17 seconds on this, like, and you just really want to like. Threads is a good example of that. Hell, like Twitter's a good example of that. Google's a really good example of that. The dark patterns that Google employs are crazy because it's like supposed to be such a light, sort of fun, light, open interface thing. Like, dude, something really small, and like, who knows? Maybe they'll send assassins to my house for even mentioning this. But when you sign in and you make like a I need smoke bombs, Jack. When you sign up and you make a Google Workspace account, they'll automatically sign you up to like their mid or high tier package where it's business standard, and I think it's $28 a month per freaking mailbox. It's nuts. And then you're like, whoa, this is like way more money than I thought. And then they don't tell you. They get you on a 14-day free trial, and then they don't tell you that they're going to bill you for it. And then you get billed for it, and you're like, what the hell? I just spent $300 last month, and I was expecting to spend like $100. Anyway, then you go and you try and downgrade, right? Dude, I don't know if you ever tried to downgrade a Google Workspace license from business standard to business starter. Dude, it is like buried in there. There's no downgrade. And then you click the downgrade button, and it's like, oh, like, do you want to delete everything and kill your parents? And it's like, no, I don't want to do that.
Just to confirm, you're a super loser who doesn't want to use our platform, right? Yeah,
do you want us to publish everything we know about you? All those emails you sent. No. And then you click these tiny little 3 dots in like the bottom right-hand corner, as you said, 2 business days away from freaking anywhere you're expecting it.
No, not the search history. No, Google. But it's like, it's funny, dude. It's like I had this experience with Facebook because like I got trapped in this Facebook. I would call it the Facebook black hole, man, because my Facebook account was from when I was like 17, was connected to my Instagram account. And I basically, it wasn't connected to my new Instagram account, but it wouldn't let me do it. Not to bother with the details because I had a number there from 10 years ago. You cannot ever get in touch with Facebook. Not possible. So I actually had to delete the account to create a new account, which a lot of people have to do. But Nick, the process of leaving Facebook, it's quicker to get a divorce than it is to leave Facebook. Like the number of links, and they're so sneaky because one of the things that they do is they change where the leave Facebook button is periodically. So that if you're looking on Reddit, it's like, oh, that was 2 months ago. No, we changed that now. Now it's over in this completely, and they'll just keep moving the P, like so you can never freaking find it. I was like, what is the URL I click to get to leave this platform? I must have spent. I don't even want to say how much time I spent leaving, but when I left, I felt an endorphin rush, bro. Like that's the kind of thing I got because it was so freaking difficult to leave that platform. And it's like the big guys, they take their eye off that user experience thing. It's like when you get to a certain size, Google's not really made any. I mean, they've got some extremely innovative businesses, but their core business hasn't really innovated in quite a while. And I always find this is always the case with Google Ads. People would say that I've never seen a business that does so much revenue, like treat their customers with so low regard. And it's just a pattern I see now with some large companies. They get to a certain bloat, and they're like, dude, we're not really about that.
Yeah, it makes sense when you're smaller to focus on industry disrupting things because you don't have the distribution, and so you need to be novel and new. And then the bigger and bigger you are, the higher your revenue is, the more minor changes to your margins and stuff do impact the total income. My father had an experience just recently where he was at his bank and they offered a promotion to people to sign up that were totally new. They were going to give them some account or something and then like $300 in the account. And he was there, and he, has kind of the older time mentality where it's like, oh, I've been a loyal customer of this bank for a very long time. So he just happened to be there, and then he saw a thing for it, and he's like, hey, like, so do I qualify for this promotion? And the branch manager's like, no, you do not, because you have a pre-existing account. And he's like, well, why would that entitle new people to get more benefit than old people? Because don't you want to reward me like I've rewarded you over the course of the last 20 years? You guys have been investing my money. And I thought that was very interesting. I mean, obviously we know why, right? Because it's like cost per acquisition. You're already an acquired customer. Like, I'm not going to but, my father, like, just when he said that, it like, I don't want to call it the naivety, like the business naivety, but it was so interesting. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like if we lived in a good world, like the best world, obviously businesses would want to reward the people that help them grow most.
100%. I couldn't agree more with that, bro. You take care of your customers. That's it. Like if that's like jumping on a call for an hour and saying, let's figure this out. If you've got a problem, you got to take care of your customers. That has got to be driven at the founder level. There's something about businesses where the founder is involved in it. They're almost more inclined to take risks. Like if you get a business to a certain size, you kind of traditionally you jetpack a CEO in who's very corporate and he's done all the corporate jobs and he'll manage it like a corporate business. But when you have like founders in, they're like, dude, I know what this business looked like when it had zero revenue, and I got it to this level. They're more risk taking, and it's like the leader of the organization sets the standard for how you actually treat customers. And you've got to be really like ardent on those standards, because once you grow past 5, 8 people, you start to have culture mismatch where like it becomes so important to enforce the culture, or as enforce is the wrong word, nurture and cultivate the culture, because people start approaching it from different perspectives, and like you've got to really drive that. And I can see why a lot of organizations don't have that. One thing I love that N8N is doing, I've noticed recently, is pushing on a lot on the community side, which I think is really good. And there's a beautiful number of AI startups coming in. I mean, you must have had your inbox blown up by like sponsorship stuff, right? Like it's insane, like the number of companies that really want to access this creator economy, and to grow. It's like they're recognizing that, dude, like YouTube is the best driver of sales versus company. Like for N8N, I'm sure that's their main like driver of like user acquisition. I'd be gobsmacked if it isn't. And so it's like they're recognizing the community aspect. And actually, I don't know if it's like a new thing, Nick, or not, but the creator economy for AI and adaption is kind of where it's at, really. Like I don't know if you're mailing people leaflets with a QR code to go and download an app anymore. I think it's video, it's visual, it's engaging. It's all creator led.
Yeah, just because there's so much bullshit out there, and so you need to find somebody that you trust and use them as a mechanism to filter information and just prioritize your attention. So it's a very clear evolutionary strategy, and I understand why people do it. And I think that's why authenticity and reputation have just grown to be more and more important over the years. You know, market saturated with bullshit. Like your reputation's all you have. Jack, you want to do some Q&A?
I would love to do some Q&A, dude.
Are you okay if I open up my little screen share and then walk us through it?
Bro. Let's rock and roll.
Let's see how many people made fun of us today, okay? Shall we?
All right. What did we say? Dude and bro was special bonus rewards. Common
Ground official lol at Nick when he discovers Jack is into video games. That's true.
That's it.
Dean Somali, wicked episode. Thank you. Richard says, better start applying for those jobs because AI content will no longer get monetized on Google. Ooh, spicy take. So
AI content will no longer get monetized on Google. Do you think he's talking about... I'm not sure what he's talking about with that. Is he talking about like articles aren't going to get ranked if they're AI led?
Well, he hard stopped it with a period. So I'm taking this tone to mean angry. That's how
I think he might mean YouTube. He might mean the YouTube AI slop.
I mean, you know, I prefer to have a more pessimistic view, and I think he's just calling us AI content creators. I don't know. I might just be full of shit here. But anyway, thank you, Richard. My take on it is it doesn't matter because we're not making AI content.
Yeah.
Russ a bus. What a fucking entrance. Sorry. No swearing here. Don't want to get demonetized. Dean says, my favorite podcast right now. Ooh, this one's cool, from RoboHood, who says, I've never found a single use case for an autonomous AI agent that is actually useful, safe, and realistic. For now, I just stick with manual LLM models. The world is not ready for AGI now. What do you think about this?
That's a really good one. I think he's so right on this AI agent thing. AI agent became it's almost like the crown jewel of what AI can do, but no one's really deploying it autonomously in the wild to kind of do a billion different things. So you're not alone. I think, did we talk about, dude, that I saw the guy said these 9 AI agents run my business while I'm like on the beach or something? It's just not true or realistic. So I'd say, yeah, I think that's true. Autonomous agents. I think there are ways you can use them as tools. And then the AGI thing, I would say, I don't think. Actually, Nick, do you want to share your thoughts on the agent thing, and then we can go back on the AGI one, because that's a slightly larger one.
Yeah, this is a point I was making about a year and a bit ago, where like AI agents are great, and it's like they're great, but is any real small to mid-sized business, which is my target audience, actually implementing them? And the answer was no. And then I was like, okay, is this a question of capability? Do they just lack the ability to implement them? Or is it a question of like utility? Like, does it just have utility or not have utility? And that's why they're not doing it. And just given how quickly AI agents were blowing up, like there was more than enough market supply. There just wasn't really a demand. There was a short-term demand because of hype and stuff, but no staying power. And then I saw a bunch of reports from like major consulting organizations that were basically saying like the AI agent rollout is now sort of like rolling back because people are finding that like the amount of money that they save organizations is not worth the opportunity cost of the mistakes that they're making, and then the amount of money that they could have made had they continued spending money on humans. I feel like future iterations of these sorts of things will eventually obviously be fine. Obviously, like, I mean, technology curve, go boom. But yeah, right now, definitely ahead of the curve. And I just use like procedural, implementations of stuff. Every time I see somebody throw in the AI agent node in N8N, I'm like, hey, you could totally just have done the GPT, like the OpenAI node instead or something. It's like, do you really need like complex agent functionality to like, format a first name? It's like, no, you don't, bro. Like, you're just using it for packaging benefits.
Yeah. And I think AGI thing, it'll just be disruptive, bro. I think it'll just come when it comes. And I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it the moment it lands. But great point, Rubu Wood, Robin Hood guy. We like
Robin
that.
Hood. Yeah, right. Dean says, could you clarify what you were saying at 4 around making content? Should we give this a click or should we just move on? What are you thinking, Jack?
Maybe I don't know what the audio is going to be like inside the browser. So
yeah, no, I don't think.
Maybe Tyler could check that and reply to Dean.
Right. Yeah, sounds good. Russ says, Jack, I can really appreciate what you said about the sound design of it all. As a music producer, it's so important to me. I've always wondered why Spotify's next button isn't tuned to the song you're listening to when you press it. So many little things like that could sweeten the UX up. Can't wait to try your app. Well said.
Very beautiful. We appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, Nick and I are very. We talk about UI a lot because I think we both get like how important it is from a design perspective and sound engineering. Yeah, very, very true.
I can't wait to hear yours. What kind of sound are we going to get when your little voice thing pops on?
Dude, I don't know. I'm going to record the smoke bomb sound and have that in there. That's what I'll do.
Should also record the screams of your carpet.
The screams of the victims. And then it'll play when next time they try to come in, actually. Yeah.
Dean saying low-key bits of wisdom dropped in this one. I prefer high-key bits of wisdom. Absolutely. Aaron says too much jargon.
Fair point. We'll take that on board and try and make it jargonless.
Just took that on the chin. Too many dudes and bros.
No, too many. Actually, I'm thinking. I think the dude and bro thing has dropped off a cliff. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like like volume. Oh, well, there I go again. Volume of dudes and bros of just the second that somebody pointed it out, Jack and I just got scared.
We did, man. We did. We had an emergency 30-minute meeting on it, and the outcome for that meeting was we're going to decrease the dude to bro ratio by at least half.
Okay, let's do another 3 more. Bill says that doesn't drive me at all. I don't even have social media. You got to stop saying everybody's the same. Bill, YouTube is social media.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Got some social media here, Bill. You don't think that you do, but you do. You don't think that it be, but it does.
It do be what it do. Yeah.
It do be what it is do. Aaron, who's in Maker School. What's going on, Aaron? Says this is really entertaining and informative to listen to. Keep up the good work, gentlemen. Looking forward to new episodes. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
And then Captain Cypher. Why would you protect your intellectual property from AI theft? Cry harder. Uh-oh. I guarantee you we hit like the AI, the artist niche with this one. That short must have just really ruffled some feathers.
What's his point? Why would you protect your IPs from AI theft? Cry harder. I don't know, dude. I kind of think I'm an accelerationist. I think, with some caveats, I genuinely think like I don't like Disney saying Midjourney. I think it's like LimeWire, dude. When a cat gets out the bag, I think it's a step change in technology. We can't apply 1990s laws to 2020 technology. I think it's for the betterment of the world if we we get the right things, but we just grow and accelerate with them.
Yeah, I'd agree. What's really interesting to me, back in, I think it was like 1910 or something like that, the gramophone came out, something along those lines, which was basically like what would later become the record player. And there were posters posted everywhere by live studio singers or theater singers who, you'd pay money to go see a performance of. And they would say stuff like, don't buy the gramophone. The gramophone is stealing our work. The idea that you could just take our voice and then copy it and play it whenever you want is theft. If you think about it, this is basically the same thing 100 years later, right? It's a disruptive technology for sure. It's definitely capable of displacing the way you are currently doing things for sure. And there's a lot of fear behind it. So it's not surprising to me that people that probably make most of their livelihoods, like Cypher over here or whatever, from commission art or whatnot, are terrified by it. But you need to understand that the world today, I think, is probably a lot better than the world back then. And so just viewed from a sufficiently far out distance, it's a net positive. I don't think
I agree. And I think as well, you've got to look at the way things are heading. Like, it's so easy just to follow, like, look at your digital diet. If you're consuming GMTV, your news, and you're losing your ability to think critically and independently about things. And if you're in an industry that is potentially going to get eroded by AI, it's better for you to not spend your energy complaining about it, but to say, look, in a world where this happens, which it looks like it will do, how do I best position myself? And just repurpose your energy, because you're fighting against, I mean, the expression is when an elephant sits down, you move out of the way, right? And it's like, I take a kind of personal, like, how do you maximize your own personal, like, obviously you really care for everybody, of course you do, but like at the same time, you know, if I'm an illustrator, I'm probably thinking like, maybe this job isn't as valuable in 10 years as it is today. And if that's the case, maybe it's a passion thing, in which case, awesome. But could I reapply that passion in a slightly different vehicle than I did? Like, maybe it's not horse shoes, it's tires, right? Like, how do you upgrade it in this new digital economy? Because the reality is, like, most businesses now are digital, which is why certain countries are struggling taxationally, because it used to be, oh, you want to move your car factory? Good luck with that. Now it's just a laptop and bros, right? So it's, oh, we'll just laptop and bro over there, right? They make a difference. So it's like the world is changing quickly and accelerating its rate of change. So you just have to take an authentic look and not cling on to a bygone era.
Beautifully said. I think that's probably the best place that we can end this podcast episode.
Done. Beautiful. All right, bro. I'll catch you in the next one, dude. Maybe we'll have a new model to crush on.
Sounds good, my brother. Have a lovely rest of the night.